Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk Kings College men's soccer. Mark Bassett, the head coach, joining us right now. Well, Mark, great year it's been for you guys, gearing up for the playoffs. Probably a little more than a week away or so, but before you know it, that'll be good to go. You'll have the regular season in the books. Big win this past weekend, though, for you guys, as you guys were able to beat a very high-ranked team in Eastern University.
Yeah, it was a nice win. They were ranked 8th in the country, this past weekend, and we were lucky to play really well on Saturday and get a nice result against a very, very good Eastern team.
There's been a lot of those 1-0 games. Misericordia got you guys 1-0, and then now you guys will try to wrap up this regular season and hopefully score some goals. Let's talk first on the attack mode for you guys. Talk about the guys that are scoring goals for you. You did have some experience back, but there's some other guys that are stepping up for you.
Yeah, we have the two probably leading goal scorers returning from the last couple of years to our team returning. They're doing a great job kind of facilitating this year. Our goal scorers over the last couple of weeks have been new guys. Dan Lorendini was Player of the Week in the MAC conference last week, and he was the one that scored the game winner against Eastern as well. Brian Fenster's been doing a fantastic job for us this year as well, and scoring some goals, and he set up the goal against Eastern. So, the guys, the new guys, and then the guys that have been there before are kind of working their butt off to facilitate things, but the other guys are the ones that putting the ball in the back of the net.
Talk about the MAC overall, where you guys fit in with everybody else, and what you see in the league as far as a little bit of some teams on the high end, some teams in the middle, and some teams struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think there's a bunch of good teams at the top. I think there's probably 4 or 5 teams actually that could probably win the conference, and one team is not going to make the playoffs. It's kind of crazy how tight everything is. I think just Eastern and Kings are the only 2 teams that have kind of clinched playoff spots right now, and then I think there's 4 teams that actually could still get into the playoffs. So it's a really tight race, and it's a really tight conference, and it's always a good indication of competitiveness when things kind of go down to the last game of the season.
It's always good when you're young and you're winning, and 10 years already at the program there for you at Kings. Mark, talk about how time flies.
Yeah, it's been 10 years. Kind of surprised by it. It's been a lot of fun, and I've been really lucky to coach a bunch of really good guys, and some really good players as well. And hopefully over the next 10 years, we can continue to do as well as we have so far.
How tough is it at the D3 level to be in that top tier? Last couple of years, Misericordia University women have tried to get to that. They got to the Final Four, but tell us about in D3 for you guys on the men's side.
Yeah, it's really difficult, especially considering soccer's kind of growing quite exponentially within the United States. So a lot of colleges in Division II and Division I programs are funding their teams a little bit more than they had in the past, which kind of causes a little bit problem for those of us at the Division III level who don't have scholarships to recruit and maintain good players within a team. Just because we don't have scholarship money to offer, but we want to compete at that level, and I think that's the type of things that we have to combat. The thing that's really nice, though, that Kings does, and a lot of Division III programs, is they create a culture that kids want to be part of, and I think that's sometimes supersedes the scholarship, and some schools do a better job than others, and I think that's a lot of what kids look at now, and they want to have a great experience rather than struggle through something if they decide to try to test themselves at a higher level.
Mark Bassett, Kings College men's soccer coach here on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Mark, you bring up some interesting points, and competitiveness has changed so much in D2, D3, things like that. And, you're hearing there's more international flavor at some of the D2 schools, whether it's swimming or soccer. How has that trickled
Right.
down over to the D3? Because it's just so competitive nowadays to get into a school, number one, academically. Of course, then you got to compete out there on the field, and you guys are doing it for years here.
Yeah, I think it's actually trickling down into the Division III level a little bit more frequently than I would say it has in the past. A lot of the international type players tend to look for the scholarship money, and obviously at the Division III level we can't give that. Manhattanville actually in our conference is actually, I think they start seven internationals, and 5 of them are from Sweden. So I think it's very very unique in terms of playing teams with a little bit of international, an international flavor, I guess the best way to say it. And I think it's definitely becoming part of what's going to happen in the Division III level, because a lot of schools now have to recruit internationally as well. And I think it's really really important sometimes to some schools. At Kings here, it's a little bit different. It's really difficult to recruit internationally. So maybe we will at some point have a couple internationals on our team, but only actually had 1 in 10 years. So we'll see how it goes.
Mark, let's talk a little bit about that. Your keeper this year, he's a freshman, and the guys in front of him as well that getting their feet wet and doing a fantastic job for the Monarchs. Yeah.
Owen Geedy, he's our freshman goalkeeper. He's doing fantastic. Made 2 incredible saves yesterday against Eastern, and has been fantastic all year. But the guys in front of them have stepped up really, really well. 2 guys have been playing out of position in our back 4 this year, and kind of learning on the fly a little bit. And that's a really nice, a nice component to have, is the versatility of 2 guys changing position to fill the needs for the team. I think that's a really big plus for Phil Kistner, who typically played right back for us and has been playing center back, and Kevin Hagmeyer has been playing left back for us and now playing center back as well. And both of them have done a fantastic job, along with Kevin Mazel at left back and Tyler Harlan at right back.
Mark, the season and the playoffs are probably at different levels, but tell us about staying alive in the playoffs to kind of live for another day, and the nerve-wracking part, and what do you think you need to do this year?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not exactly sure yet. That's a great question. We looking forward, and we don't know exactly who we're going to end up playing in the first round, or and hopefully in the finals. The teams that we have a possibility of playing are all very very different. I think that's going to change how we game plan for them. Obviously, based on how well they proceed in the next couple games. Misericordia beat us on Tuesday. They're a huge team, physically very very big guys, and that was something that we had to combat. We did a good job of it, but unfortunately they got a goal, just based on a long throw in, and that is something that we're going to have to game plan for to counteract. FDU and Eastern kind of play similar. They want to play the ball, knock it around a little bit, and get forward quickly, and that's kind of how we play as well. So, playing against styles of very similar nature to us, it's a little bit of a different game. Manhattanville and DeSales are very similar teams, very good defensively, very very tough to break down, and are extremely organized. So, we don't know exactly what we're going to get, but obviously we have to prepare differently based on what they can do.
Well, it's going to be an interesting shakeout here in the next week as to how the MAC playoffs go. As Mark mentioned, should be great, and looking forward to you guys hopefully doing your part. The Kings College Monarchs. I want to thank you for your time, Mark.
Hey, well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Mark Bassett, the head coach, 10 years at Kings. It goes by quickly, but he's doing a fantastic job. A young team, but playing some great soccer here on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.